Hello, good to have you here. My name is Taylor, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today I felt like making kind of a more practical video, and the Divi Builder is the main page builder I use as a WordPress developer. Of course, I don't use a builder for every project, but Divi is my favorite one, and I think it's the best for freelancers because of their pricing structure. I'm going to assume for this video that you are either already set and you're planning to use the Divi Builder for a project, or maybe you have already started that project, or you're interested in learning more about the builder and what it can do. Either way, this video is going to be a quick overview of how responsive design works, and I think this will get you up and running. Responsive design in Divi is pretty easy, but at least for me, when I first started using the builder, it wasn't so obvious. So hopefully this will get you up and running, and you'll be able to crank out those sites, or maybe fix those responsive issues you've been seeing on your existing Divi site. The first half of this video is going to be how to use the Divi Builder itself to create these responsive layouts, and how you can maybe fix some issues with the mobile version of your Divi site. You can do a lot with the builder without coding at all. So hopefully I can save some of you a lot of time. And then the second half of this video will be some tips and tricks, or some things to look for if you're going to write custom CSS for your Divi website or theme. And how to do that, and what to look for in the dev tools, and so on and so forth. So I am going to shrink into the corner here, and let's get started. So in front of me I have a landing page that I built for a client recently with Divi, and after going back and forth with ideas for the design for a while, he said, you know what, I really like these templates, let's build these. But these templates were an outdated version of Bootstrap, so I decided to use Divi for its flexibility, and really they were very similar on desktop, and it was also easy actually to replicate the design of those templates on mobile. So the first thing I want to point out is kind of important, I think, and that is if you are making changes to your responsive layouts with the Divi Builder, or actually with CSS as well, and you're not seeing those changes when you actually take a look at the page, one thing you might want to do is go to Divi and Theme Options. That will take you here. And then you want to go to the Builder tab and then Advanced. And here is a Static CSS File Generation option. I think this is enabled by default, and I almost always turn it off when I'm working on the Divi site. And so that will just prevent issues with caching and actually seeing your updates. If you have other caching plugins, remember to actually clear the cache and clear your browser cache if you want to make sure that you're actually seeing your changes, or just if they're not showing. So that's always one thing to check. And let's go ahead and I'll show you how responsive layouts work with the Divi Builder. So let's actually look at this page. It should look decent, at least pretty good on desktop. But there are some problems on mobile. So if I hit F12 or I right click and click Inspect, that will open up the dev tools here. And I'm going to click on this mobile icon because I want to see what it looks like on a phone. So this all looks good. This looks pretty good. And for the most part, your Divi layouts should be responsive right off the bat. But there are usually things that I tweak. And so that's why I'm making this video. Sometimes you also want to hide something on mobile that you won't show on desktop. But I don't need to get into that. So here, this is the main problem I'm seeing on mobile for this page. So I would kind of like actually for this features text area to be a little bit wider. And then if you go down, this just looks horrible. You see that the background is far too short. It's not covering the whole section. So that's what I'll fix first. So I'm going to exit the dev tools here and enable the Visual Builder. So I'm going to scroll down to that section. Here we are. And the first thing to note with the builder is if you click on the settings icon, here we actually, the builder gives you three previews. So we have the tablet and the mobile device. So if I click on the mobile device, I can see the problem. And this mobile view here for Divi shouldn't be 100% trusted because this, I think, is actually much wider than most mobile devices. So always look at it in the dev tools and even on your phone if you want to make sure, because this is actually closer to a tablet width, I believe. But yeah, so let's fix those things. And what I'm going to do actually is go to desktop. And the first problem I wanted to fix was that this section wasn't wide enough on mobile. So if I click on the gear icon, I'll go to design and spacing. That's where padding will be. And you can see there's 20% padding on the left and right. But this is what I didn't notice, was not obvious right away to me when I was first playing around with the builder. And that is if you hover over these, and it's this way for almost all properties within the builder. If you hover over these, you see there's a device icon, desktop, tablet, and phone. And I want to fix the padding. So on desktop, it's 20% on the left and the right. And I'm going to say that on a phone, I'll say 0% on the left and right. Okay, and so again, just these icons with almost anything, even border, if you hover over it, like right here, you can choose desktop, tablet, or phone. So we could even have different colored borders for things on your phone and your tablet and on desktop. So, but I just wanted to fix the spacing. So now it's going to be 0% on mobile. And let's see what that looks like. Whoops. There we go. So this paragraph looks much better. And now I need to fix this problem with the background here. And there's some spacing issues here. You can see I need to add some padding. So here's the section where the background would be. And the problem, I suspect, this is the problem. So on desktop, there's a maximum height of 825 pixels, and that's okay on desktop. Everything fits in there nicely. But if I go back, I'll go to phone, and I'm going to write in none. So there's no maximum height on cellular devices, or really small ones. And that looks much, much better. Now we have the background covering the whole section. So I'm going to save that. And really the main trick here is that once you figure out what module needs to be fixed, like I want this one to have some padding. So I'll go in there, click on design, and I'll go to spacing for padding. And the main trick is just to hover over and use this icon. Make sure that you are on the phone if that's what you want to be editing. And so I'm going to give that some padding of 25 pixels on the right side. There we go. And I'll give each of these some padding on the left side. Sizing, spacing is actually what I want. Spacing. So on the left side, 25 pixels. I'll fix this one then as well. Spacing, 25 on the left. 25 pixels. Okay, that looks much better. So I'm going to make sure that it's saved. And then I want to check it out on tablet view just to make sure that it looks okay. And I would say that it does not. So the only thing here really that I need to fix is the background. So again, I'll go to sizing, and that section has a max height, but I don't want it to on the tablet view. There we go. And really that is the main thing. You can use these, and you can also use those little icons when you edit the modules. But say, for example, maybe instead of having this all be right aligned on mobile, we center align it. So what I'm going to do the same thing just so we can see one more example. Sizing, oops, it should be in design, alignment, and I'll make this center aligned. And it is center aligned now for tablets and phones, but not for desktop. So that's perfect. And I want to do the same for the text next to it. So that is center aligned, and I want this text here to be center aligned. Design, heading text. I want it to be aligned in the center on tablet and phone. Oh, and the reason that wasn't working is because that is not an H1. There we go. Probably that should be an H3. And I'll do that for the body text as well. So just up here, normal text. Center align that. And lastly, I want to center align the button too. Design, alignment, make sure I'm under tablet, and perfect. So now that's center aligned. And the last thing I'll mention, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a Divi layout from the Divi library, and then I will show you one more thing that I normally look for when I'm making these designs responsive and just looking them over. So I imported this layout, and since it came from the Divi library, I would expect it to already be quite responsive. It looks good, obviously, on desktop. Some nice pictures and just an alternating design. Looks great. So let's, again, I can hit the F12 button or inspect. I right click and click inspect. And I want to view it on kind of a narrower device. So I think this is the smallest one in the DevTools, at least right now, 320 pixels wide. So that's a pretty small device. And it looks okay, right? But there are two things I see that I almost always change in every Divi layout. The fact that these headings are so big, it doesn't look too bad on those. But like, I do not like this here personally. So I want this text right here to be a little bit smaller on mobile. The other thing is that there's a lot of padding on the left and the right, you might notice, even up here. But definitely, if we look down here, that's just a lot of padding on the left and the right. And so I generally, for mobile devices, want a little bit less padding on the sides. So let's fix that. I'll enable the Visual Builder. I can exit the DevTools too. Okay, great. So I want to check it out on mobile, and what I'm going to do is go here, click on the mobile icon, so we have that preview. And as you can see, this is a lot wider. Like, this looks okay, but many devices are actually much smaller than this. So first I'm going to fix this spacing. You know what? Actually, the first thing I want to do is to see just what has the padding so I can more easily or more quickly change that. So I'll open the DevTools, go to the mobile view, inspect, and it looks like the text module is what has so much padding. So if I go back to the builder, it's this, it's the text module. And sure enough, if I go to design and padding, it's just auto actually. Oops. Yeah, spacing, that's what I want, spacing. So it has 60 pixels of padding on the left and the right. I do not want that much. I want more like, more like 20 pixels. And I'll make that the same. So again, I would change this for every single section, of course, so they'd be uniform. But now on a mobile device, these will be 20 pixels of padding on the sides, and I personally like that much more. We'll take a look at it in the browser in a minute. And I also wanted this title to be a little smaller. So we see that's an H2. So I'll go to Design, Heading Text, H2. And it's 50 pixels. That's pretty big. So on a phone, I would like it to be, I usually use rem, but I'll say I want it to be 30 pixels actually on a mobile device. Maybe it can be a little bigger. Yeah, that's all right. We'll say 40 pixels instead of 50. So now I'm going to save. And if I go back and refresh, yes, much better. So you can see now that there's a lot less padding on the sides and the heading is smaller and more readable, I think. There are, of course, other things we could fix, and I would make the padding uniform, but I think you generally get the point now of how responsive layouts work in Divi. And that was up here. I want to make this wider, so let me see what's causing all that white space there, and it's the row. So this row has a max width. And I can see that right here. Aha, this row has a width of 80%. This one right here. And that's why there's so much padding. I don't want there to be 80%. I want it to be 90 or 100% with 30 pixels of padding. So here I am. We've got the section and then the row. Design, sizing, width. I'm going to say 100%. And this actually looks nice, but I did want there to be that padding. So I'll go to spacing, and on the left and the right, I want there to be 30 pixels of padding. And so now this is much closer and much more uniform to that other section. So just remember not to always trust the mobile or the phone preview in the builder, and always check it out in the dev tools. Check it out on a couple browsers as well, just to be safe. But again, if you are looking at it, you can open the dev tools by right-clicking and clicking Inspect. And then I've chosen the smallest screen size because I want to make sure it looks good for everyone. So that got a bit long, but I wanted to be thorough. And if you're just getting started with Divi and how building responsive layouts work, that is how it works with the builder. Just remember, for almost any property you might want to change, width, width, which is in sizing, or padding or margin from spacing, borders, literally anything. Even if you want to make an element hidden on a phone, maybe you don't want to show a large image on a phone or a slideshow on mobile devices, but you do on desktop, you can actually hide that entire image or whatever it is on mobile with the builder. So just hover over that property, padding, margin, border, whatever, and you will see those three icons for desktop, tablet, and phone, and that's how it works in the builder. Now I'm going to show you how custom CSS works with Divi and hopefully make your life a little bit easier if you need to add some custom CSS for whatever reason. So there are a lot of reasons why you might want to write your own custom CSS for a Divi page or a Divi theme, and I'm not going to get into those reasons. I'm just going to show you how. And the first thing that you need to know is that there are a few different places where you can add your own CSS. And if you have a ton of CSS that you need to add, or if you need to add your own PHP templates to the Divi theme, of course you're going to need a child theme. And I just want to mention this because you should not use one of those child theme configurator or child theme generator plugins. Divi is a little bit unique, so you need to have a certain setup for the child theme, and it's not complicated, but just go to the Elegant Themes website. They have a nice blog post about it with all the code there that you need for the child theme, or there are Divi child themes out there where you can buy them or download them and add those. But I just wanted to make that note. If you're adding your own child theme, just check out the Elegant Themes blog post. I'll link it in the description, and you won't have any problems at all. So again, I'll get really small here and click on Enable Visual Builder. Now, of course, in the dashboard in Theme Options, so I'll click on Divi, and here we're in General. You can add site-wide custom CSS right in here under Custom CSS. So if I wanted to edit the nav bar, let's say, or change something there, I could just write my CSS here, and that would be global for the whole site. So that's where I would write that, obviously. The other places are you can do it sort of page by page. So if I click on the gear icon for the whole page here and go to Advanced, there is a Custom CSS option, and this CSS would be page-wide. So this page, any CSS written here would apply to this page. And then you can also do it pretty much for any type of module that you have. So you can click on the gear icon and go to Advanced. And there are two things to note here. You can write custom CSS for the section right in here. Here's the before main element. This is probably where you'd write it right there, and after. And you can also give this section an ID. So like I could call this, you know, landing page top section. I don't know why, but if I wanted to target this section specifically for some reason, I could give it that ID. So I'll save that, and that section should have the ID that we just gave it. So I'll exit the Visual Builder in a new tab and just make sure. I inspect, find the section, and look, div ID landing page top section. So if you have some CSS that you want to apply to multiple sections, you could just give each of those sections a class, and you'd say like special section, and then you could target all of those sections that you wanted to with your custom CSS. And that brings me to another point that I wanted to make, and that is that the CSS that the Divi Builder outputs is pretty clean, honestly. Like, it's not so hard to figure it out once you actually take a look at the HTML. So here we have the section, and this is the one I gave the ID to. And you see here we have the section, and here it's ETPB section, Elegant Themes Page Builder section. Section 0, so like a JavaScript array or any array, it starts with 0. It has a background. And then, so here under that is the row, ETPB row 0, it's the first one. Then the column. Then we have the module, which kind of wraps the text wrapper there. Then another div and the H1, and then the text section, all here. So here we have the header module, the H1. So really, it outputs, I think, pretty clean code for a builder. So if for some reason maybe you wanted to select this button and change the color of the border on mobile, what you could do is you could inspect that, and you can see that it's in the first row, and here's the button. So we have, this actually controls most of the button's styles here. So maybe I want to change the border color. A quick and easy way to do this would be to just go ahead and copy this, and then in the builder, I'll go into the page settings and just custom CSS for just this page. And I'll change the border color to be black, like that, but actually I only want this to happen on mobile. So I'll say media screen and max width of 768 pixels. There we go. I'll save that. So I'll save, and then when I go to, I'll need to go to the phone view. And then when I get below that 768 pixel mark, you can see it has a black border there. So again, you can either add a custom ID or a custom class to any of the modules, and that is here in Advanced. You have CSS ID and classes. You can add custom CSS directly to that module itself, to the page or site-wide. And to target something, just look for, you can either use that custom ID or class for the section or module, or you can target it by looking at what row it's in, what section, what column, and you can use those Divi classes. And again, to do that, I would just right-click on something, maybe this image here. Here we are right here. And, well, this doesn't help us very much because it doesn't tell us where it is. But in your custom CSS, you could say ETPB section 1, ETPB image, and you could do it that way. So this is section 1. So in our custom CSS, I would say ETPB section 1, and then I'd paste in what I copied, and let's give that a border. Border 3 pixels, solid red, the console log of CSS. And hopefully, if all goes well, this is saving here. Hopefully, yes, good. So that image will have a border then. Just refreshing. This one, where is it? There we go. And so we see that has a border now. So hopefully that helps you. Sometimes people will build layouts with Divi that can be a little tricky because they use crazy properties for margin and they don't position things quite right. So really, it's good practice to get used to using those dev tools and seeing where the problem is and what you want to change. And then you can probably change it in most cases with the Divi Builder. But if you need to write custom CSS for whatever reason, maybe you want to add some cool effect or animation, or you just want to define the global styles maybe for all pages, that's how you would do it. And I hope this video helps. It did get a bit long, but hopefully you were able to skim through the parts that gave you the information you needed. Thanks so much for watching. My next video is going to be how to know when to use a WordPress page builder as a developer and how to decide whether or not you want to use a theme or a plugin that has a page builder as opposed to just the way that normal WordPress sites and themes work. Kind of the pros and cons of that and how I personally decide when to use one. So if you have any questions or comments, or if there was a part of this video you would like me to delve into a little bit further, please leave your comments down below and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Again, I'm Taylor. Thank you for watching. This is Coding for Tacos, and I hope to see you again soon for the next video. Cheers.